Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready to rock? This is Gary Spivak from DWP, and you are off stage with DWP. On Off Stage today, we have a friend who is near and dear to all of us. This is Leigh from the band Pop Evil. You guys know him. You guys have seen him. Hell, you probably have more signed autographs than I do from Leigh. What's up, man?
Long history, man. I'm sorry we gotta hang out on these terms, but at least we get to spend some time. I'm glad to see you doing well and staying safe, and excited to talk to you.
I'm excited to talk to you too, because you're one band that we feel we have invested interest in.
Sure,
feel that we've
absolutely.
watched you grow from junior high through high school and college, and now you got full-time jobs and
absolutely
paying the wages. And let's start it if we can. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to the start. You're from the great and important state of Michigan, specifically Grand Rapids. I understand, I again, sorry to sound like an interviewer, but because I'm not that good at it. But you started off like most do, in a cover band, doing cover songs.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite cover songs to play?
Oh man, I'll take you back there. We were just talking about a couple friends. Now that I've been home a lot more, this is the longest I've been home since probably the early 90s, so it's crazy to see. So, but it's been refreshing. I've been able to reconnect with some old friends. And of course they always tell you, and I'm sure many musicians, if you're watching, you can relate, that all your old school friends always like your band way better when they knew the band, right? They're always like, I like it when you were better before you guys got, whatever they like to say, or they like your first record better because that was when they were linked to you, a lot of times. And, but we were talking about, just kind of the old cover days, and we would sit out there, and a lot of times we would get paid for 3 sets. Okay. And that was the only way you could make money, but at least in Michigan in those days. So we would finagle the system. I would book the show, but I had every intention of playing Pop Evil in the middle set. Because first set, we play a couple acoustic covers, and I know my band members at the time were lazier. They wanted to drink. So I would play by myself, as many songs as I could while they could do their thing and enjoy. And then the second set, we'd get changed into our normal rock star outfits, and we'd play a full Pop Evil set. And then, of course, the third set was the party set. And in the early days, we'd always get yelled at by the owners, and they'd be like, no, we told you covers. We told you covers. And I'm like, I got it. And, of course, we started to build a following. We became that big fish in a small pond. And and then towards the later years, everyone would come to hear our original songs. So kind of, you're exactly right. We did it the very blue-collar way in the Midwest, and we just played small bar to small bar, and we played covers to save up for our first demo. And once we got the demo, we were able to finally start pitching to managers, and found some incredible managers, and then they started teaching us the business, and then took us to our first show with you guys, and then the rest is history.
So to stay back into the old school days, I'm gonna mess this up. It's not the Intersection. What's the name of the great rock club? Did I get it right?
You're right. The Intersection was one for sure. We had the Orbit Room and the Intersection, but the Intersection, we broke a lot of bread. 2 different versions of it. There was an old school Intersection, in downtown, and then of course the newer building is still there to this day, and it's a little bigger. It houses more, but that was the stomping ground. Intersection for sure. It was everyone who knows touring in Michigan. Intersection is one of the hotspots.
The Intersection and the WGRD.
There you go. GRD broke us for sure.
Can you kind of take us back to the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
Yeah, it was with GRD. 97.9 is the big rock station in town. At that point, it was alternative and rock. They were all kind of playing alternative rock stations were playing both rock and metal bands. And then, of course, we had a metal station that was playing just strictly metal. We got our break with the alt rock station at the time with GRD, and we were very fortunate. We were doing things like you said, though, playing a lot of the touring circuits. And I understood. I had a lot of friends in the biz that we weren't trying to get people to play our music because we knew that they just couldn't do it, so we wanted to at least show that, look, if you needed an opener, we would open for any national you needed us to do. If you needed covers, we'll play it. We're just here to do our thing, and we have original music, so if you need us, call us. And with that mentality, they were just very humble. They were like, wow, well, this band gets it, let's just call them up if we need anything. And a short story long, they started to listen to some of the demos, and our demos were getting better. And we went out to Detroit, and we recorded with the Kid Rock Camp, and a lot of people that were doing some of his early stuff were now helping us. And the demos were just sounding very Detroit rock and roll. And if you listen to our first album, it's very, we believe, very old school, Detroit rock sounding, and very, and that Detroit rock sound it's almost like a blend of Southern rock in a lot of ways, actually, because a lot of times I hear, the LA record sounds like a lot of Southern rock, but to us it was Detroit rock, back in the day. So a lot of influence from Michigan in that. And then as it started to get a bigger buzz from it, radio started to give it a play, and they would play it on Sunday nights. You know, that was the opportunity and chance to get that local spin. And, you know, we'd call all our friends, got to call in, got to check it out. And to hear it online, I mean, to hear it on the radio to this day, man, you get the same feeling. You always you'll be driving in your day and you hear it come on. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to stop. And you always stop to not take it for granted. I always try to listen to the whole song in its entirety. If I'm in the car ready to get out, I sit in there and try to listen. Because again, you don't want to take these things for granted. And radio has been such a driving force for the success of our band over the years. And we're just grateful, not only for them, but what radio stands for community. And especially now more than ever, we need that. And it's you know, with this pandemic, I think music is getting a lot of us through it.
There's things that you always remember. Like I remember the first time I heard Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit. I know exactly where I was, right? So I have to ask, please, the first time you heard Pop Evil on radio, where were you? I bet you know.
Man, I wish I had that moment. I think I don't really remember. And I think probably just because this business is about the next song and the next single, the next tour, I was always on to the next, you know. But I think I was driving in the car, and I would have heard it. I think this is more the part I think for me that was more memorable was the time I heard it first on the car when I didn't know it was coming. You know, and I heard it I was just driving down the drag here on the local Michigan scene, and you hear it come on, and you're stoked. You're videotaping it with your phone, and in those days the phones weren't very good, so you have this very poor quality version of you on the radio, and you're trying to text it or
flip phoning it up.
Yeah, and you're calling all your friends. You're like, and of course back in those days we were single, so we'd just be like, look, you know, hey, trying to call your girlfriends, be like, did you see on the radio? You know, like, of course none of the girls cared at the time, but you know, it was fun, man. It's funny you say that, though. I can remember one time I heard it come on the radio, and this is a funnier story. We were on a boat in Minnesota. I'll never forget it. And Hero came on, and again, I don't know what it's like for other bands, but once the songs become public domain and we release them, I never really listen to them anymore unless I hear them on the radio or just naturally to hear them in a sporting event or something like that. A lot of times, again, I'm onto the next album, I'm onto the new songs, or when you're touring, a lot of times I'm just resting my ears and trying to just make sure that my voice and my ears are healthy and quiet. You know, as you get a little bit older, you just want the quiet stuff. But I remember being in the boat being like, man, someone totally ripped off this song. We have a song just like this. Is very similar. Totally got me. And of course, the people I was with were like, you're joking, right? That's your song. And I'm like,
so surreal. That's out of body, right? Yeah.
I hadn't heard the song in years, you know, and it was a song called Hero, which was actually our very first single ever. So that was 2008. This must have been 2013 or something like that. I just remember blanking out, being like, oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. But yeah, again, it was just a funny story, cool story. But I've never forgotten that.
Well, you're off stage with DWP. This is Leigh from Pop Evil. You dodged my question. I just got to ask again.
Yeah.
The favorite cover song.
Favorite cover song. I'm sorry, I forgot about it. Yeah, we had tons. I loved it. We always had this thing. We'd say Pearl Jam and STP. So we always started with Pearl Jam, Alive, and STP. Those were two of my favorite bands growing up. So any of those covers. But to be honest, I loved at the end of the night, we'd do the party covers. We'd do like Got High by Afro Man, and we'd do Kid Rock, Ba Da Da Wah. We'd do Eminem because it was all Michigan. So it was all Kid Rock, Eminem, Bob Seger, a lot of Michigan bands. Those were a lot of my favorites. But to be honest, towards the end, we hated all the covers because we were so ready for originals that even to this day we get asked if we're going to do any covers, and I'm always like, no. That's probably why we've waited to do a cover this, just because I've hated it for so long. But I think that playing those covers has been a key to a lot of our success in writing now. We understand melody and hooks, and it was very helpful, I think, in those early years to where we're at today.
I think some of the kind of breaking points for Pop Evil, if I could be so humble to say,
absolutely,
have happened at DWP events.
100%.
You know, the first one that came to mind, I'm going to go take you back to May 22nd, 2011.
Yeah.
I think it was your first Rock on the Range in Columbus, Ohio. And you ripped up a recording contract on stage because I believe you had signed a deal with E1.
Yeah.
And ballsy thing to do, because by 2011, you know, you're busted.
You're exactly right. And we've had so many memorable times. And it's funny because that comes up every now and then, you know, just in interviews and just in our as our careers have progressed, and they're always like pivotal times. And we always say, you know, those festivals we've done with you guys and the DWP crew have been just huge milestones for our band. And obviously the first one, the rip up of the contract was, it was certainly ballsy, man, thinking back. And there was so much to risk, but we were so young and naive in those days. We didn't even think twice. It was like, let's burn it, let's rip it, let's throw it up. And that's ridiculous. They can't do that to us. And there was such I guess a genuine bit of a rebelness in us back in those days that you almost didn't care. You were just so excited that, I mean, man, we were so excited to be at playing one of your events at those days. To this day, your guys' festivals are what most bands, and I'm sure they'll all tell you this, we all look forward when we see the touring circuit come in for spring and summer. We always look for those DWP festivals. I mean, those are the ones we circle every year. That are we doing it? Are we calling managers? We're like, dude, any DWP festivals are we doing this year? What's going on? So it's you guys have become such a staple for us. Obviously, the ripping of the. Do you want me to say the next one? I think was even bigger than that.
We'll get to that. Yes, but
okay, yeah. I didn't
for everybody listening, and you're off stage with DWP, and you have Leigh Pop Evil. He's not lying, because you like found me backstage. I think at Carolina Rebellion, and said, I just have to tell you, when we get the itinerary from our agent, our manager, we all sit down. I think you said tour bus by then. Back in the day.
Yeah, I think we were on one. Yeah.
Yeah, you were on tour bus, and you said you would circle, our festival, which means so much to us, because, and I want to get to this too, because you're a big sports guy like me, sure. and sure. Many listening. I feel you more than most treat a DWP festival appearance, like a fucking boxing match, it's us against them. My 45 minutes, my hour, it's on from note one, and I gotta show up.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. They're so powerful, and obviously fans might not know, but when you play a DWP event, you usually don't play it again for a couple of years, because you mix either so many great bands, you try to mix it up for the audience, which is rightfully so. That sometimes when you don't get certain ones the next year, you feel like you almost feel let down in a way, because you're like, okay, well, my summer's not even matter, and it's funny, even for me, when you don't play those off years, you're like, oh, you're watching, you're like, who's on this list? And then of course it's hard sometimes to watch those other bands' social media feeds, because you just see all the fans, and you get respectfully jealous about, dang man, I didn't get to see all those people this year, but next year or the year after, it'll be incredible. But there's such a special atmosphere that's been created amongst band members and other bands with your festivals that make it so special, and that's why they sell out. And it's been so exciting for us to see not only our bands grow and the bands that you've had on those stages grow over the years, but your festivals. I mean, and the way that you and your team has studied the European festivals, because I know you've heard for years that if you ask any of us American artists what's our most favorite places to play, we always say the European festivals, because they're another level. And I know you know this, but to see how you guys have grown and not been kind of live in your own box and be like, no, well, we do it our way. You've gone out there, you've studied it. You'd be like, how can we make our festivals better? And you constantly just keep climbing. And now, being an American band, it's awesome to finally have festivals here with DWP that compete, on some levels with those European festivals. And again, those European festivals have been doing it for generations. Now, to finally give America a bit of, and the rock metal scene in America, a platform and a stepping stone to build on with these festivals, and just to see them grow and sell out every year. Obviously, we were sold out on most of these that we were going to play this year. It's again, we still circle them on those when we see those touring things coming, Gary. It's even amplified even more so, and I think it's incredible. You'd never know this about me. Usually after every one of your festivals, especially the old Rock on the Range days, like I couldn't breathe for 3 days after, because the adrenaline was so, you said it right? You aim everything like a boxing match, that everything, it's almost like you hit this insane high from walking on the hands with all the amazing pictures I have at these festivals that you've had, to the extreme low after, which I think is something worth documenting. Like, we always see, and the fans see all this greatness, but they never see how draining we are after the show. Because again, in the early days, Rock on the Range was the biggest. It was that was the epitome of all shows for any band. I think the only thing that would come close, and it still didn't beat it, was if you played Red Rocks. Other than that, it was Rock on the Range, right? So the incredible lows, you could have made a series of YouTube videos about the extreme lows I had. Like, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't sing for 3 or 4 days after it, just because I never experienced anything else since. I've never really experienced any other thing from festivals before, not even European festivals, but there was so much pressure on that just to win. And everybody would come from the rock metal community for that one show specifically, just because they knew that was the show of the year, and to see the lows that I had after it in a good way was just incredible to see, because you just gave everything for that moment. And, from losing your voice to just laying in the back of the bus being like, I have a show today. No, call someone else. I can't do it. So I think it's something that I don't know many artists tell you, but you give so many amazing festivals to us that we give so much back to you on those stages for those fans that sometimes the drain of the come down on the next day is something I think fans would be interested in seeing. So maybe that's something we document as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing up so many emotions for me right now. And the first one is, and I've said this to a couple of your rock bands, your friends, your buddies out there. It gets me pissed. It gets me sad, because we should be talking about this, in Columbus or in Louisville, Kentucky at Louder Than Life, or Aftershock in Sacramento. But here we are, because coronavirus has knocked us out, talking on a Zoom call about what we should be experiencing together. And, this a flood of emotions. And I appreciate you saying that about Europe, because you're absolutely right. What do they say? The best ideas are stolen. That we started something in America, but in order for our festivals, in our opinion, to be the best, we have to have Pop Evil and Papa Roach and Seether and Chevelle, but we also have to have Slayer and Mastodon and Gojira, but we also have to have, Royal Blood and Cypress Hill and Queens of the Stone Age. We fight it constantly, and we don't really totally know why, but America's so, square pegs for square holes, where in Europe you can have Fall Out Boy and freaking, the Black Delilah play together. And we just feel that rock and roll should be a wider net.
Well, it's interesting you say, and again, we don't know, we can talk about the overline kind of vibe of American Europe, but I think for me anyways, I spend, and like you, we do this for a living, and we're constantly thinking about this. And this is why I'm so grateful for your team, because I think the reason America, I hear it from a lot of my European fans, and they're like, what's the difference? And I once heard this, and I've stuck with it because it's so true. They're like, what's the difference between America fans and European fans? And America fans are like, prove it to me, where European fans are give it to me, which is why you can have that vast difference of bands on a bill around a festival, which again, if you think about before the DWP team, before you guys existed and were doing these things, there was nothing. So there wasn't anything to kind of really look to with rock and metal festivals. We didn't have anything like they did in Europe. And if we did, it was, with pop and secular music, so I think now that you've been able to do this, I mean, look, we've been on the scene, both of us, for over 10 years now, going on closer to 15 to 20, that now fans, they come to expect that with you. And even what you were doing, I thought was brilliant. And even with Metallica, like you were doing it, hey man, we finally get Metallica, we're going to have them for 3 days, or what? I know that kind of evolved with stuff
2 days,
that Metallica
2
was
different
going
sets.
through. But it was interesting how with their catalog with so many songs, you could come and you're doing things differently, and I think that's awesome for fans, even when they don't always agree. They don't even know sometimes. We as fans, including myself, I'll just throw myself under that. We don't always know what we want until you give it. And I'm sure you've seen this with your, I've definitely seen it from my perspective with our shows. Fans don't think they like you, or they're like, I don't like that lineup. And then they end up coming anyways, and they have a blast. So like, oh my God, that was awesome. So look, everyone's got opinions when it comes to social media. And we're seeing that now more than ever with this quarantine and this pandemic. And it's great. We should have that, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't use the insulting things we may read to stop the growth and to try new things. And you can't get that big reward without taking the big risk. So I think that's one thing when I think about you guys, you specifically as well, all our chats over the years, just never been afraid to back down. The DWP, nobody does it like you guys here. And I think that the more you keep doing it and taking those chances, the more we're going to be like sheep. We're going to come. We want music. We want rock. We want metal to merge. We want it to be together. Look, if you want more metal, then you can go to that stage. If you want more rock, then you can go to that. I mean, these sets, I think you do a great job of making them the right enough length where fans can get as much of that they want from their favorite artists, also learn about new up and coming artists. Look, to some degree, you helped break our band. You think about those early Rock on the Range, Louder Than Life, Aftershocks, even Carolina Rebellion, some of those moments there for those four, they helped launch our career with our fan base. Right on. In some ways it's a lot like Octane XM radio. Like
sure.
you are the two outlets that break new bands. Like some radio stations that are bigger aren't in a position to always play up and coming, especially nowadays. It's even more challenging, right? And we feel very fortunate that we were able to get in when we did. But you guys, DWP and the festival scene, when you think about it in general, and Octane are the places that give those smaller stages and those smaller up and coming bands a chance to be born. And you certainly helped do that for us. And you think about 2011 ripping up that at the small stage and then playing the main stage, from then on. It's just been an incredible journey to grow and to see our name, go up on the lineup and see your name go up on the back of the shirt. I mean, I'd be lying to you to say bands don't talk about that stuff. That's the goal, right? I mean, we get those shirts. I mean, to this day, I have to go find a shirt at every concert we've done. I have a shirt from everyone. If I don't, I got to go try to scalp it from a buddy outside. I'm like,
you do ask. That's right. You do ask me for a shirt. That's right.
I collect the shirts, man, for every tour and every festival we've ever done. So
you brought up. Sorry to interrupt you, dude. You brought up a good point about Europe, and you're right. In America, a lot of it, and the American mentality is, prove it to me, to me. I like 100%. To think, with Chamie, Keith, Wimmer, and all of us, that our festivals have become like give it to me. A little more than your typical American rock show. We've seen that. We've seen that growth over the year. And there's something happens when you enter the doors of one of our festivals, and we take great pride in that the crowd is there with the band. There's going back to the 2011 ripping up the contract show. There was a very famous photo of you standing on 20,000 hands. Pretty much. That's kind of made the rounds. And there's another one of you that hopefully we're going to prop up in this forum that has you at Northern Invasion. With the Carolina Rebellion t-shirt on.
I got a rep, man. You guys, I told you my favorite festivals in the world are your guys' festivals. So I got a rep that year, especially. I think that was when Footsteps was really breaking. And again, man, I look forward to. And I had the shirt, and those were awesome shirts and so comfy that year. I think I got it at Carolina Rebellion. Didn't take it off for like 3 days, so I just kept wearing it. I'm like, I'll put a shirt on. Is it showtime? I'll put another shirt on. So it was it's an awesome photo. So when you pop this up, it's definitely a good one for sure.
That was a real moment for all of us, Pop Evil and DWP. But the true one that stood out for all of us, like you said, the time you played the main stage, when you performed Trenches, one of your hits. And not only did you perform that on the main stage, but you brought out Run DMC and I forgot the battalion, but the U.S. troops, the armed services. It happened to be Armed Forces Weekend that weekend. That was a true moment. Can you kind of go back to your memory and talk about that?
Yeah, I to this day, we've had so many memories, but that's always in the top one to three. I don't even know if that'll ever not be one or two, because it was just so powerful. And I think it was the Eyes of Freedom. The veterans came up with the Eyes of Freedom paintings, and these paintings were massive, right? And they I can't remember if it was between 4 and 7 big paintings of veterans who were lost, and they made these portraits and paintings of these particular men and women who served as a tribute to just the people that have sacrificed so much, and to see them bring those paintings up on stage with us and to perform our song Trenches, which to this day is one of our most chaotic songs to perform live for our fan base, especially at one of your festivals. It just, the place became unglued. And then as soon as we got into that second verse, Here Comes DMC. Again, there was just so many emotions fluttering through me. Number one, just being proud to be an American and being up there with the men and women who serve our country, because that's the most important thing to all of us, that they do what we do, so we can hopefully give them musical inspiration when they are overseas, to think about us back at home, that we're not just abandoning them. We're always thinking about them right here, to let them know that, hey man, we want to give them extra fuel, to just let them know that red, white, and blue, we bleed it. And we're so grateful for all the service and they do. And then to have them up there with us, just standing true, you just already had the chills. And then if someone would have said we'd be performing with DMC ever in my life, how can you not be a fan of Run DMC just with the history that they bring, and to not have a small piece of Aerosmith up there? Because whenever you do a collab with DMC, you always think a little bit of that Aerosmith love, but it was incredible. And then the backdrop with whatever it was, 40 to 60,000 back, to watch us. It was such a prime time. And that was in the early days when we were just starting to get bigger to play in those primetime spots. I think maybe it's after 3 or after 3:30 or 4 o'clock, right around there. It's just, especially at any of your festivals, that's about the witching hour where people they got that nice buzz. They're not too sunburned, and they're ready to not only just throw down, but they're ready. And I always say with those festivals, like come nighttime, people they're sunburnt, they're exhausted, they're wasted. It's almost, and sometimes better to play between that 3 and 7 o'clock, because they're ready to really listen and to really get involved with your bands. And it's just, look, every time's a good time to play at any of your festivals, but it's always
I will tell your manager and your agent that you said that, just so you know.
Well, I'll just tell you, I wouldn't mind another nice late o'clock time, but whenever we get that, whenever we deserve it. But I'll tell you what, that mid-level, the 5 o'clock is a good time. But it's just fun to see the fans and thinking back on those moments. And again, I think I was hit up for about 3 or 4 days after that show. I couldn't move. I was in. It was completely. I'd given my all that day, and to see even the merch. I think the merch that day that I remember was just through the roof. It was just a special day that, looking back, it just, wow. And then throw Columbus and that particular festival into the scene too, because again, they like their football, precursing our sports talks coming up. The way they like their football, some cities they like their music a little bit differently than others when you think about the U.S. and Ohio don't play, no doubt.
Well, a little behind the scene moment on that. So after this great performance, Leigh and the band was hanging out all night, and I think you had your trainer with you. Who was from East Lansing. And I'm a huge Raider fan for those who know. It's been a tough, freaking 19 years.
For sure.
But Raider Nation, and your guy and you pinned me down backstage and said, your draft pick, Connor, whatever the fuck his name is, is going to be the future of the Raiders. And you were wrong. So just so you know, he didn't take Derek Carr's spot.
All I know is I think we did that conversation in the Artist Lounge, actually.
That's right.
So that meant a lot of free booze at the time. So I don't remember. I could have been talking with different. I don't even remember talking that, but I do remember that. But so that maybe that was a little boozed up with that. But he was a little bit of a letdown on that. So
I know.
Well, that goes. I owe you an apology on that.
Yes, you do. Although you only one. But that goes to it's just kind of the final topic I want to bring up, and we're here with Leigh at Pop Evil. You're off stage with DWP. Mm-hmm. Thanks everybody for watching. Last Man Standing. That's a video that features UFC fighter Frank Mir. Hero, which you talked about. Trenches. Take It All. Waking Lions. Work. There seems to be a running theme, and I don't know if you do it by design, but it's a compliment, Leigh, that you're right, like sport arena anthems, and I'm just curious that these kind of anthemic kind of topics that you bring up, which feels very, self-empowering, and be the best you could be type of themes, and don't let shit get you down.
Yeah.
Was that always kind of on your mind when you're, as a lyricist, when you're writing, or just by chance?
No, I think that you write, at least for me, you write where your life's at, and I think when you think about where rock is, and I've seen new articles come up with me this year since the quarantine, and people have really picked my brain about the rock and roll is dead comment. And again, I try to take that comment and let it piss me off, if I could just be frank about it. That when I hear that comment, I think about all the hard work you do, your team does. I think about people that actually come to your festivals that sell out every year and growing. What is that comment? The more we just let that phrase not upset us, I think the more that our genre just sits stagnant. I think if we can communicate and educate as leaders in this business, especially as me as a performer, and not just take people's money and push people to listen to my music and buy my records, but literally educate the audience, your fan base, to let them know that, look, we can make a difference, right? Like you when people say that and you just laugh it off, well, that should rub you the wrong way, right? What about those people that spend their hard-earned money that's not easy to come by, especially this year, that still, if if the government said we could have festivals tomorrow, they would still come. They would be there. The tickets would sell. People would not be scared to risk their lives in this situation to come see us perform. How can a saying like that be good enough for us? We're the only genre that has something like that. I've just recently, in the past few years, it's just every time I hear it, and I hear it a lot, it just offends me more to let them know that, look, man, we need to fight for each other. We need to create more opportunities where rock and metal can live and communicate, because we all use each other's genres and influences in different ways. You've given us great platforms with festivals to mix and intertwine with other great bands, which get off your tour bus. We always try to challenge people at your festivals. I think about some of the best relationships I've made in this business are at your festivals, because we didn't live in the tour bus. So many things that we can document when we talk about your festivals that fans don't see that have meant more to us than just the shows. Obviously, the shows are what it's all about, but all this stuff behind scenes, the memory we just said when I gave you my draft pick, it was the wrong idea, but it's those memories, or it's the artist lounges that they're always, and artist lounges vary in different festivals, right? And always your festivals, the artist lounges are very special, and they give us a comfortable platform where we're not always getting mobbed by fans to interact with other artists. And sometimes these festivals are the only times you get to share stories and war stories, so to speak, with the bands you might have toured with years ago. And we can say, how you guys been, man? But sometimes when bands get bigger or whatever, or people's, especially for singers, their voices get a little sore. It's not as easy to just go out and talk to a bunch of people, even if they mean well. So, you know,
we get that. Yeah, we get that not only from the bands. It's like this dysfunctional summer camp for bands, but we get it from the fans too. We've had fans who have met, who become best friends that instead of going to Cabo or bungee jumping, they come to Louder Than Life. We've had people who've met and have been married at our festivals. It is this community. It's this family spirit
100%.
that you cannot manipulate or you know, you can't buy it. It's really special.
No,
which again, this makes me sad because we should be out there, and there's going to be a day sooner than later where we're all out at our festivals again. And man, 100%. It feels you're hungry. The fans 100%. Are hungry. And look, I can't thank you enough for taking time out and spending it with us off stage. And you're always going to be family to us. We've reached the stage of off stage where what we call our encore round, where I'm going to fire some questions at you.
Yeah, of course.
That comes to mind. You know, don't take it personal. Just I'm going to try to rapid fire this. It's the encore round of off stage.
No problem.
If you weren't in Pop Evil, what rock band would you want to be lead singer in?
Oh, I'd rather play for the Lakers. So, but you want me to pick a band? All right. Aerosmith, baby, all day.
Be starting point guard on the Lakers or front man of Aerosmith?
Oh, Lakers, man. I'll be Lakers.
I don't know. You're purple and gold. That's awesome.
Well, I'm really Pistons, but if I went to play for a team, I want to be in LA, so I'd play for the Lakers.
I gotcha. Yeah. What song, if you could go back to re-record?
Oh, that's a good question. 155, man. I'd like to just I'm just curious to see what we would sound like just playing it now, you know? So I love the recording, but, you know, I just thought, you know, it'll be a little bit different and just kind of see what it would do. But there's probably a lot more, but right off the bat, just knuckle round, just 155. What poster was behind your bed? Oh, Jordan. And it would have been, probably Michael Jackson, depending on what year, way back in the day. You know, 2 MJs, huh? Yeah, 2 MJs, man. Get it. Yeah. First rock concert you ever went to? Oh, Skinner. Leonard Skinner, the Pops. Where? Back in the day. You know, it would have been Muskegon, Summersell, probably, I think, in those days. Okay. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing right around there. Favorite hip-hop record of all time? Hip-hop record? Oh, my God. Shoot. I'm trying to think of one not obvious. What was one of my first? I got to go Tupac, All Eyes on Me. Yeah. I got to go, probably, if I'm going to go there. That era of that and Dre and Biggie and that's real. You know, the reason why I bring that up is they had like a punk rock. They had a punk rock ethic to them. They did. Bring it very much like Ripping Up Your Contract, 2011. Total punk ass. For sure, man. What's your favorite song to play live? Favorite one to play live? There's a bunch, but usually anyone that the fans are singing. But Waking Lions, for sure, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a song to me that, and maybe I'm wrong, but when I could hear the first playback in the studio where you guys said, "This, I don't want to change a damn thing." Right. This feels perfect. It's just a great recording. Like you captured it. Yeah, and we feel like this new album that hopefully we can release sooner than later, but we feel like it destroys anything we've ever done. So I'm really excited about Work. I'm really excited about Let the Chaos Reign that we did, especially for both those songs to be able to play at your festivals. I mean, we were waiting to kind of debut them. We would have just already played them, you know? So we were so excited to kind of have them there and come. But you know what? Guess what? When we come next time, they'll be even more familiar with the fan base, and fans will be singing even louder with us. So it'll be even more passionate. But again, how we write albums now, people ask, like, what do you think about when you write? We think about the fans, but we think about your festivals, to play these at the festivals. I mean, that's what it's really about, you know? I mean, to play them in clubs and other shows are great, but when you can really let loose at a DWP event and really play those songs, and you see just the way that kind of massive audience responds, I mean, that's when you get that chill factor on the hair up on your arms, for sure.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna close out with a couple easy ones. Favorite fruit?
Yeah. Fruit? Oh man, I've been doing a lot of juicing. I've been vegetarian first time in my life. I mean, I feel better than ever, so I'm trying to do that. But I like I'm gonna go kiwi.
Kiwi goes left field with kiwi.
Yeah, go a little different, man.
Favorite vegetable?
Vegetable? I love carrots. Carrots all day.
Me too, but not steam, right? You like the hard ones?
I like the hard one. Yeah. I don't mind either one. Either one, don't matter. But normally, I like them just raw. I like them raw, man. I like them raw.
All right, we're with Leigh at Pop Evil. You're off stage with DWP. Anything you want to say on your upcoming record? Because you got Work and Play, and you got Let the Chaos Reign. Look
what I snuck in here for you. What, I give you a little chorus? Can I give you a little chorus for the crowd?
Bring it on. And action.
Gonna 155 still alive, but do I can, but no, I can't take it. Still believe in this rock and roll and DWP conscious man. I need you come back to save my soul. Today I still believe some things are just meant to be. Can't wait to be back with y'all.
Same here, man. Thank you so much.
Love you, Gary. My pleasure. You know I love you. You're one of the realest people I could ever meet in this business. I'm grateful for you. Sure.
Hey, is there anything, this has been a tough year, and there's been a lot of like reflection. And is there anything you want to say to your fans, as we've been through this coronavirus, we've been through some unfortunate police brutality. If there's anything you want to just bring up to say to your fans as a way for.
I'm not gonna lie, man. This year sucks. I never could have predicted this, like most of you, our whole existence. I mean, we've had to put everything on hold. Just praying that there's a vaccine or some way to get back to some normal, because everything we do requires people in close proximity with each other. Everything that makes rock and music fun is about getting close together and sweating on each other and bodies cramming horns in the air. I'm just praying about it. I pray everyone. And again, I'm not trying to get all religious with y'all. Music's my religion. So listen to as much music you can and try. We're going to get through this. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know when, but we're going to do it together like we always do. And we just got to try our best to stay positive. I know that there's so much angst and anger from all different directions that we need to remember to understand, communicate, and love. Like, I know it's hard to love. It's hard to get to love when you're angry, but we got to communicate first, right? There's a lot of different things that are wrong, or people feel they're wrong about what's going on this year without getting specific about it at the moment. We need to communicate about it. We need to understand from all directions what it is, so you can get a rational, educational kind of response. You don't just react on emotion, because that's when the unnecessary happens. That's when the fighting happens. And we're not going to get any love with fighting. And once we can start to listen and understand, putting ourselves in other people's shoes, and maybe we can finally start to love and change our path, maybe the way we walk. Talking about the real people that get it, man. There's always going to be bad seeds. There's always going to be people that want to stir stuff up. But for the most part, a lot of us just want to get back to the love. And you think about this music, this metal rock community that we are, there's so much love. I mean, I've been doing this now 15 years. You've been doing it as long as I have. It's like, I've never seen a year where there hasn't been love, and people there giving and helping each other. Like you said, there's people meeting and marrying each other at our events, at our shows, at your festivals, at your shows. We're special, man. We're all important. It's what America stands for, right? The land of the free, home of the brave. We got to start really taking those old ideologies to heart, what our founders thought all those years ago, and try to be better. So again, I just challenge everybody, including with myself. I'll start with me. and I'm going to start doing it with music and starting one person at a time and try to communicate, understand, and get back to the love, man. So that's what I'd say to y'all, to just be positive.
Nice. Thank you, Leigh. You're off stage with DWP. We'll see you at a show.
Can't wait. Deal? I'll be counting the days.